Mhm. Hi, everybody. It's Amy again at Sage Connections. How are we doing today? Um, doing the live talk section of this, and we're going to talk about transformation, I guess, because it's a term that's being overly used, and I guess that's what we're going to do. Um, I'm going to get out my phone as well. Um, so I can and maybe turn off because it seems to happen all the time. Every time I start something live or that my phone will go off or whatever. So I have my cup of coffee here, just ready to talk about transformation. Okay. Well, here's my belief system on transformation, or my perspective, if you want to go there. Um, Transformation, we're constantly in this area of flux. And we're always transformating, I guess if that's a word, um, because we're always constantly making choices in our lives, and we're constantly doing, um, uh, uh, constantly making choices and moving forward. Um, so you know, there's supposed to be a big event on the 18th, and I don't know if anybody else has heard on YouTube channel. Dijon or Maui is one of my friends, and he likes to point out big major energy changes on the 18th that are supposed to happen. And he's really working hard on helping me understand astrology. And I so appreciate that because I need a little help on that. Let's be honest. So, I also wanted to talk about some major transformations and different aspects. Now, if you ever notice me wiping my hair, that's because I'm getting um, connection, so to speak, and I need to release that so I keep my train of thought. Because sometimes when I do something, I kinda get interference, you know, they come in to try to help me out, and, um, so does that even make sense? I don't know if it does or not, but anywho, so, um, stepping out of my comfort zone, I'm in my comfort zone. Yeah, okay. Um, alright. So, I wanted to talk about, like, certain transformations that I actually got to see. Now, I don't know if anybody else loves Oprah as much as I love Oprah. Oprah is amazing. I remember first watching her when I was 12 years old. I was always sick with tonsillitis. Um, and so I would, you know, be home from school, and as a latching kid, TV was my babysitter. So I'd make myself a little bed on this little tiny two cushion. Um, I guess you would call it a couch, but it really wasn't a couch because it had wood and it was hard as rock. But um, it had little cushions on it, and it was like a bench. Really. That's what my parents had. And I would be downstairs because we wouldn't have TV upstairs. My family didn't really watch TV. I was the only TV watcher until later on in life. Um, and we didn't have cable, so all we had was regular public channels, didn't cost any money. And on channel 13, I remember it was around right before, the news came on, you would have Oprah. And this is right when she first started out in her career, and, there really was I didn't like Donahue, so I watched this new woman who was a talk show host, and I'm thinking, "Yay, we got a new perspective," and she happened to be African American, but I watched this episode because it was the Ku Klux Klan was on it, and I thought, "Boy, she has some balls to to have them on her show." I'm like, "This is amazing." I had to see what that was about. And I was watching and I remember she was in a corner and she had her arms crossed. And it was a time that I got to see, I didn't know it at the time, but it was like this light that shined on her right-hand side of her, and it was kinda had a purplish, tint to it. And I didn't quite understand what that was until later on in the years where she would, come out to say that she had epiphany. But I knew at that moment while I was watching that she was somebody to watch, that she would change people's lives, and I knew that what I just saw was transformation in its purest form. And we have those moments all the time where we can see these great opportunities, um, these epiphanies, or our belief systems come to change by just having an experience. And that experience that I had when I was 12 made me an avid watcher. I was so much sick that year. I probably missed majority of the school year, um, because I wanted to watch her. You know, I was so grateful when she got moved to a different time slot, at 4 o'clock because I could go to school then and not miss an episode. Back then, there wasn't DVRs where you can program your cable into capturing, you know, um, capturing the show that you want to see like there is now. I am so grateful for her because she's actually kept me in line, and she didn't even know, how great of a person or how much she helped me being who I am in the aspect of her influences on me. And just like we don't know how we influence others when we do what we do, we just do what we do because that's what we were called upon to do. And so, um, it's very surprising to me, I'm just in awe how life works and how humanity is and how we constantly grow and and be um, who we are, you know. Um, I get excited to know that, you know, we're just in for having experience. I try to stay in the now because then I know my emotional GPS is on cue, and, I try not to look ahead too far, although I hope and I have my dreams, of course, everybody does, um, and I try not to look at the past except for, where I have been. I can tell you from past experiences and what I've overcome, my major life lesson is worthiness. Um, I have been dealing with that issue for now 20 years. And I'm starting to get a handle on it, which is a great thing. But sometimes people don't realize what they can do to other people. Um, I come back from a saying in my childhood, sticks and stones don't break bones, but words will never hurt me, is a complete lie. And I mentioned this before because words do hurt. You just don't have the bruises to show. It and they can come back and haunt you later on in your life. Um, if you allow it. I have to put that down. If you allow it, okay? If you know yourself well enough that you know that it isn't true, um, but it takes a lot of time and effort for you to overcome. Now, I'm so happy that, we brought bullying to the front point. Being a past, victim of bullying, um, I am happy for that, but I'm also a little concerned that we don't have steps for the individuals still today that are being bullied, you know? We don't have coping skills, that they can look in themselves and see greatness. I see greatness in other people. That's one of, the gifts I've gotten from God, and I'm so grateful for that because I can see the good in most in majority of the people. Um, Somebody told me I had, rose-colored glasses on, and, I'm okay with that because I rather look through my rosy-colored glasses than go look for the negative in somebody because 'cause you're always gonna find something negative, and hopefully people will see, you know, the positive. If I look for positive in people is because I want to see positive. Those are my perspectives, those are my choices, and I'm okay with that. But then they think that, like discernment. Um, so it's getting a little loud here. But that's what you got with live, right? And that's why I'm moving. Now it's very loud at times. I'm gonna drink some coffee now. Mm, okay. So, let's see. I think that's pretty good. I'm not quite sure, but um, understand that everybody's in transformation. Um, Whether it's life trans, there's different forms or degrees of transformation, and they can be life altering, or they can be, you know, um, just mild, everyday decision, like me drinking a coffee. That's a choice that I made to do on live, which is probably not professional, but I went ahead and did it anyway because I am me and I'm not going to change for no one. And I like me. And I can't say that so much. Oh, okay. So, if you have a solid core of who you are and you're still getting those negative influences coming at you, and you're getting it from multimedia, and you're getting it from outside forces, it does wear and tear on you eventually, and you can come out with um, not having so much self-worth, you know? It would be something that you have to work on. And I have had to overcome some of that. And I can tell you from personal experience, if you are being bullied, that it does get better as time goes on. I know in the midst of it, it doesn't feel that way. But, you know, don't let them win because really you have to have your own aspect of yourself and find something that you're good at, and focus on you because what the outside world says about you is one thing, but if you know in your truest hearts that what a great person you are and what light you have to share and your ability to, know thyself and know thyself to be true, then the outside forces, it stings a little less. 'Cause I remember times when I would get home from school after having a really bad day of bullying and walking into a mirror, and I did a lot of mirror work, And if anybody knows about mirror work, is where you self-talk. And this should be really good for me because I'm doing kind of like a self-talk, nobody talking back at me. But but it's kind of like mirror work. So I've had a lot of practice with it. And I would go into that mirror and I'm like, um, I don't see it. I don't see it. I don't believe it. You know? What can I do to make it better? How can I fix myself for me to get better? And that's when that philosophy can put you down into a spin down because you think it's on you, but it really is an reflection on them not having the self confidence, and the only way they feel good about themselves is to be, you know, um, put a shade on your light, and our logical mind or our adult mind knows this process, but as a teenager or a child doesn't have that capability yet to be able to figure that out. It took me, a lot of talks to myself to be able to understand that, you know, sometimes um, we make poor choices, and that's the reason why we get ridiculed, and people don't like to let up, on things, and everybody thinks that they have to have an opinion. And any more days, it changed my philosophy on my opinion on others. I didn't want to be judged on my past experiences. Um, so I never judged anybody else. I always looked at them for who they are at this moment. And some people have a hard time doing that. They take their past experience because people always makes mistakes. And I am notorious for making mistakes, I am notorious for it. So why would I want anybody to take my past mistakes? I own up to my mistakes. I'm harder on myself than anybody can be out in the outside world when I make a mistake and I know it. I own it and I take responsibility of it. But yet I understand that people do make mistakes and I'm not going to judge them for their mistakes in the past. I'm going to treat them just as they are right in front of me. And if we could just get that, that would be wonderful, right? Because a lot of times that's where our issues are. You know, we go on social media and everybody has an opinion about a certain subject, politics, whether it's politics to all about how you know, raise your child. Those are really personal issues that constantly people have opinions and they strike out on people and they think they have the right to blast out their opinion, which I do agree with to some extent. But if you don't have, constructive criticism, or you're just putting out your crap on somebody else, it reflects on you. It doesn't reflect on that person. It reflects on you and where your mind is. Because remember, we're just a mirror looking at each other. And if you're giving out those negative thoughts to somebody else or putting them down for what they believe in, then you can expect that mirror back right at you, you know? Um, it must mean that your core beliefs have some issues that you might want to look at yourself on those subjects. Because I don't judge anybody about how they raise their children because I don't know about you, but I have my 4 children and 2 of them are special needs. There is no manual, and I was not equipped for having those, and I made a lot of mistakes. Lot. And I would never judge anybody for how they did that due to the fact that I didn't know half the time what I was doing. I was trying to keep them safe. I was trying to keep them, you know, work 5 jobs and keep my kids safe and make sure they were in, good health care or, daycare and have health care and all that kind of stuff. And I had to do some things that most people wouldn't do. I went on the welfare system. I did 5 jobs at first, um, when I was younger, and I had 2 special needs children, and I couldn't have enough healthcare, and I couldn't have enough money to sustain these 2 kids. And, and I was a single mom, you know, and I was trying to do the best I could for because what a parent does is provide for their children, right? I didn't know, and I thought providing was just financially, not emotionally. I didn't have emotions at that time to give. Mhm. And I learned that the hard way, and my children suffered for it. And, I could apologize to them all they want. I have a lot of guilt from that, and I have had to forgive myself for that, and I've had to ask for them to forgive me for not knowing. I did the best I could with what I have. And we constantly beat up ourselves up for things we had no clue. Ignorance, ignorance is bliss. Well, until you find out that you did wrong, you know, that becomes an issue. So I know for me personally, that was really hard thing to overcome, because I took it personally. I and I put it back on myself, no, I'm going to be better. I'm going to be good. You know, this time and I had 11 years between my 2 middle children because I was done after having 2 kids with special needs. I'm like, and I was like running on empty, or below empty. Didn't realize that you had to be happy first, or put yourself first, and then you could spread it out, and the overflow actually flows down onto the people that you love. Didn't know that. I had no clue on that at the time. I was in survival mode, and the majority of the population is in survival mode. Um, and I've been there, done that. I've been a statistic, if you want to, so to speak. Um, Being a single mom and then, working the system. I was on welfare. I was actually homeless, been homeless, with 1 diaper between 2 small children and having no place to go, but home, back to my parents again, which, sometimes as a Leo, our pride falls. you know, we're a little stuck in our own pride, but it was getting too cold for my babies. So, and still working 3 jobs at the time. I've done all of that. I worked my booty off just to try to get what I got, which wasn't a whole lot compared to other people's standards. And I always looked on the outside to see what the standards were or what was normal, so to speak, instead of finding out what's normal for me, because my normal is totally different than your normal, and vice versa. Um, but when we start setting ourselves apart from everybody, we're actually really connected. And to know that, we see ourselves in ourselves because we communally go back and forth between who we are and what we project out, right? A lot of times we have masks to cover who we truly are because we don't want people to judge us. Or let's talk about this, why everybody has like a badge of armor, what they do in their bedroom. It's none of my business. It's none of yours. You know, what you do behind closed doors is your business, not mine. And please don't make it mine. Those are the kind of thoughts that I have. I have 2 kids who believe that they are either gay or lesbian or trans or whatever's popular today. And they wear it with a badge of armor, and I'm like, please don't do this. Don't put a badge or put a label on yourself when you just love people. It's okay to love people, and it's okay to love everybody. It's called unconditional love. It doesn't mean and it doesn't mean it's a bad thing. It shouldn't be bad, at least. Unconditional love is one of the most empowering things that you could do. It's up there with Christ consciousness, right? Because that's what all Jesus was about, or Buddha, or that is about giving out love to the world, to people. And isn't that what it's about? Because if you don't have that connection of love, then w- and what is the difference between love is hate. It's just different degrees, right? They're all the same thing. It's just which way do you want to go? Wow, that got off topic, didn't it? It just like blew up right in front of my face. A lot of subjects on this one. Um, well, let me know how you think, what you think. If you like what you see, please don't hesitate to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And hopefully, we'll discuss more. Didn't realize, lost track of time again. They're supposed to be little short spews, but I guess I went off on a rant, so I apologize for that. But understand that right now, you are the best that you're going to be at this moment. You have a wonderful potential. You have greatness in you, and you have a special, unique light that's all your own. And I hope you have a blessed and wonderful day, and I'll see you again. Bye.